What's up, everybody? Jordan Stewart here from Vover. Thanks so much for tapping into the Vover Original Show. Just a reminder that if you want to drop your opinions about the episode or respond to the host and guests with your voice, go and download the Vover app wherever you get your apps. Vover, voice over everything. Enjoyed the show.
What is going on, my people? Welcome to the Tuesday Vover NBA show. Count it. I'm your host, Justine Brown, and today we are going to do a 2021 mock draft of the top 5 picks as we are 2 days away from the NBA draft. And I personally think the class has a ton of talent. I think there's a lot of players that are going to go deep in the draft that will contribute and end up being solid NBA players. But today, for the sake of time, we are going to do a top 5 NBA mock draft, in my opinion. And that will start with the Detroit Pistons, who have the number 1 pick in the 2021 NBA draft. And all whispers, all signs point to that pick going to Cade Cunningham out of Oklahoma State. He's low risk. He's high reward. He's a 6'8" dude. He's kind of a draft prototype body. I think the top 3 picks are coming down to Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, and Evan Mobley. And I just see the Pistons going with Cade Cunningham. Once again, for the low risk, high reward. He's a shooter. He can play point guard. He can distribute the ball. And he's just got that 6'8" prototype NBA body. He just signed a Nike deal, so he's already got his shoe deal done. And all signs point to him going to Detroit. He met with the team. He spoke highly of the idea of being a Piston and Detroit itself. So number 1, I think, is a pretty clear-cut selection, Cade Cunningham, to the Detroit Pistons. With the number 2 pick, it is the Houston Rockets. And I will say this before I go on. I do think there is a high likelihood that a top 5 trade pick could happen to a team that's desperate that fell out of these top 5 picks. I'm not saying it's the Rockets, could be the Cavs, could be the Raptors. I'm just saying I would not be surprised to see one of these picks get traded. But I'm going to do this projection as if they stay as is. So with the number 2 pick, the Houston Rockets, I am taking Jalen Green out of the G League. He might be the biggest scoring threat in this class. He opted out of college. He went to the G League. He averaged 17.9 points per game. He's a perimeter scorer. He's explosive. And he says his goals are not only to be Rookie of the Year, but to be all defense first team. So he wants to be a well-rounded player. We've seen him get it done on both ends of the court. We know he's got the ability to get buckets. I think the Rockets go Jalen Green. I think he's too hard to pass up at number 2, and I too would be taking him. These would be my first 2 picks, Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green. At number 3, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, here's where I want to say my piece about this. One of the highest projected picks, top 3 pick, some say number 1, Evan Mobley, the big man out of USC. I personally, this is personal GM preferences, I'm not taking a center in a top 5 pick. I don't even know if I'm taking a center in a top 10. It's nothing against them. I know we just saw what Giannis did. He's a big man. I know AD's a big man. I know they say that Evan Mobley is a quote-unquote unicorn, just as they said James Wiseman was the unicorn coming out last year. And I'm not saying he isn't. He's a rookie. He was a rookie last season. He's still got a high enough ceiling to keep growing. I'm just saying that when it comes to this immediate impact, especially with these teams who need weapons immediately, I'm just not going big man as in center. I'm not going with the center with my pick personally. Debate it all you want. I'm happy to debate it. I love debating it, but that's just my opinion. With that being said, the Cavs' 2 leading scorers right now are Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. And given the fact that they say Evan Mobley is a unicorn, he is a guy who they think is going to be an all-around player. He's got skills on both ends of the floor. He's said to have the upside of Anthony Davis. The Cavs taking Evan Mobley absolutely makes sense. And if he pans out, they have a very strong young core. that could use help across the board almost everywhere. So, that being said, I am going Evan Mobley out of USC at number 3 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. With the 4th pick in the NBA draft, you have the Toronto Raptors, and I see them going with the superstar of the NCAA tournament. He's a winner. He wants it. He's competitive. He's a scorer. He might be a top 2 guy in this draft. I'm going Jalen Suggs out of Gonzaga to the Raptors. It makes too much sense. He seems perfect for this system. At this point, is he the heir to the throne of Lowry, who could be on the move this offseason? I think he's the perfect heir to the throne of Lowry. I think he's very similar. I think he's competitive. I think he's a winner. I think he's maybe more athletic. He can get deep shots. He can drive. He can steal. He can block. He kind of can do whatever his team needs him to do to get a win. He's just that type of guy. I think we see the Raptors go with Jalen Suggs at number 4. And then we have number 5, and this one is a toss-up for me. Picking at number 5 is the Orlando Magic. Now, there's a few people who make sense here, all of which have their upsides and their downsides. I think the one thing the Magic do have working for them is they not only have a number 5 pick, they have a number 8 pick. So they have a little bit more room for risk here. Maybe they can get 2 players that complement each other with that 5 and 8 pick. I think a lot of people see Scotty Barnes out of Florida State going there. Scotty Barnes, 6'9" with a 7'3" wingspan. He is a defensive juggernaut. They do think he's going to develop into one of these guys. It's one of the best defensive players in the NBA. There's a lot of Ben Simmons comparisons. He's a high IQ. He's a good passer. But he's not a great shooter and he's not a great scorer. He averaged 10.3 points per game. I don't know that he's somebody that's going to get them buckets off the bat. Maybe he has the leeway to find that side of his game with a team that's developing. But does Orlando need defense or does Orlando need scores? What does Orlando need? And is using your number 5 pick on Scotty Barnes the answer? That's the question I'm asking. The other 2 names we've been hearing a lot are Jonathan Kuminga and James Bouknight out of UConn. Kuminga was in the G League. Honestly, we saw him projected top 2, top 3 for most of this year. He's obviously dropped now, so he's going to be enticing to a lot of teams. And then James Bouknight, in my opinion, might be my favorite for the Magic out of these 3 guys. Kuminga, you're looking at a potentially elite prospect who he needs development. I think he fits really well going to Golden State a couple picks later, hence my hesitation to put him here with the Magic. And then you have Bouknight, who's just a bucket getter. He did have more turnovers than assists last season, but he can create. He's athletic. He's a volume scorer. He needs development in his entire game. But I look at Bouknight and I see a guy with a really high ceiling who's going to bring some offense for a team like the Magic right away. I think I would be inclined to take Bouknight. I don't know if that's who the Magic will end up taking. I think a lot of people think it's going to be Scotty Barnes. Hard to say. I think some players we could see get in the mix earlier than we expected could be Josh Giddey out of Australia, who hasn't worked out for NBA teams. He didn't do the combine, but 19-year-old with a really high ceiling, really good passer, getting Luka comparisons. Moses Moody is another one we're seeing projected a lot in the top 10. Maybe he goes a little higher. I think this pick is the biggest up in the air for me, but at the same time, once again, the Magic pick again at 8, and is Josh Giddey available? Is Keon Johnson available? Moses Moody, some of these other names that at 5, maybe they do go get the guy like Scotty Barnes, who they know is this lockdown defender, and then look more score, look another place at number 8. They do have a little bit of the embarrassment of riches in Orlando, barring them not making a major trade. So that's my top 5 NBA mock draft projection. Would love to hear yours. You can chime in on the Vover app. Give me your top 5 projections. Obviously, the draft is coming on Thursday. We'll see how right or wrong I am. We'll see how right or wrong you are. But we can all tune in on Thursday together and see where that ends up. This has been your Vover Tuesday NBA show. Count it. I'm your host, Justine Brown, and we will talk again on Thursday.